In this episode of the Hospo Dojo podcast, I chat with Caitlyn Koether, the fermentation mastermind behind Melbourne's Molly and Little Molly. We talk about her approach to food preservation and what it takes to build sustainability into a modern kitchen's DNA. This episode is proudly brought to you by Food and Hospitality Week, a major event in Australia's hospitality calendar connecting 15,000 chefs, owners and industry professionals every year. So, Caitlyn, you grew up in Connecticut?
Yes.
An hour outside of New York?
Yep.
One of my favourite cities in the world?
Yep.
New York. I mean, people get confused that New York isn't like a state, but there's New York and then there's New York.
You would fit into New York City so well.
Oh, I loved it. Ben and I, funny story, Ben started with me a year ago. And a year and a couple months ago. And me and him went to school together. And I was hounding him for years. I was like, bro, I want to make content. I need you with me. He's like, you're not serious with this shit. And I'm like, okay, tell me what I need to do to prove it. So I proved it to him that I could do it. So then he goes, okay, now you proved it. I might want to work with you. And then I was like, fuck. So then I'm chasing him. Anyway, he ends up going, okay, man, we're down for it. I'm down for it. So he quits his job, joins me. Then, literally a day later, we're at an event supporting one of my buddies. And he wanted me to get up on stage to just like give more of a pitch, like a real punch to the show. Gave a punch and nailed it. And then his head of media was like, "You need to come to Miami." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We're literally talking in 2 weeks in Miami. You need to come to Miami." I looked at Ben. I said, "Do you want to go to Miami?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Do you want to go?" He's like, okay. I was like, okay. So then 2 weeks later, we're on a plane to Miami. And then we're talking on a stage in front of like 15,000 people.
From Miami, too.
In Miami.
Florida's insane.
Yes. So we're in Miami. Crazy. Then we went up to New York. We did a tour in New York. I was in a Smallsburg where was it? In Brooklyn.
World Trade Center?
No, not World Trade Center. That was the one. No. The other one in you weren't with me, in Brooklyn. And this guy, his name's Chef Picky. He does the most amazing ox tongue I've ever had in my life. I'm there about to devour it, and he stops me, and he goes, "Paul Ayash, what are you doing here?"
Like he knew you.
And I looked, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Bro, like, leave me alone. Like, who are you?" And he goes, "I've been following you on Instagram." It's like, well, how do you, like... I mean... I'm in Sydney, you're in Brooklyn, and I'm in Smallsburg devouring a lobster roll, and you're hitting me up, about to eat your oxtail, and you're like, I need a selfie. And at that point, that's when I looked at Ben, and my wife was with me, and I was like, we need to go all in on this. This was like, me, that was the definitive moment of saying, I'm not stopping. This is like the days that I feel like I'm giving up. I remember that time of ox tongue and lobster roll. In New York, in Brooklyn. So I think now we have a common grounding. You're an hour out of town, but New York City, yeah. I definitely vibe it.
Yeah, so I have lived all over. So my family's Italian-American, so that's a bit of my, really bleeds into my food, even though I don't want it to.
Man, we went to all the delis in Hoboken. Oh my gosh. We went Vito's Deli. We got a private tour at the back.
So good.
We got the Sinatra tour. We got everything. Like, everything was, like, phenomenal. Oh, there's one place called Prado Bakery. Hold on. Prado Bakery in Hoboken. They do the Kentucci.
Like Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Why were you in New Jersey?
We just went across. Because I was like...
New Jersey's a shithole.
Man, not Hoboken. Hoboken's got amazing food. There's a pizza place. What's that slice?
Pizza in New York is good, or it's in New Jersey's good, and Connecticut, the little trifecta.
What do you think? It's the water?
I mean, you can say that about San Francisco sourdough. Nah, it's about the Italian immigrants.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because you can see it because you get to Boston, and that's where the Irish immigrants are, and the pizza there sucks.
But then there's a half caste, like half Irish, half Italian, but there's been a bit of a mix. Yeah, I watched some of hilarious. But yeah, so... Italian-American, flown all over the world.
Yep.
You've had stints everywhere.
Yep.
San Francisco bar tartine, sorry. Relay in Copenhagen?
Yep.
Like, really?
Yeah, for a year. So I'll tell you how I ended up in Australia. So I'll start with why I ended up in San Francisco. When I was 21, I wanted to go work in a different country, and the chef that I had at that time had worked at Gavroche, and he was like, you got to go work in London. So it was during the Olympics. This was during the time when nobody was on working visas. You could just fly around and bump into a country, stay there for a little while, and then leave. Went over without a working visa, on a tourist visa, was going to do a stage for 3 months, got to the airport, and then got kicked out. Got detained at customs and turned around and sent home.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. So to be fair, I didn't plan it well enough, and because it was during the Olympics in the third largest airport in the world, I did it wrong. I did it all wrong. So when I got kicked out, I was like, well, I can't go across the ocean, so I'm going to go across the country and move from Connecticut to San Francisco, and it really just launched my fermentation career. And then when I tried again to go and work properly in another country, that's when I went over to Relay. But Copenhagen didn't do it for me. The summer has really long days. Sunrise is at 4 a.m., sets at 10 p.m., and you think it's great until you're working hospo and you want to just stay awake for 48 hours at a time partying, and then you have to go back and work your fine dining job.
And it's like all bright sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. You can't sleep, too sunny all the time, and then winter is super depressing. It's the opposite of that. Sun rises at 9, sets at 5. It kind of is gray. But I met a bunch of Australians over there and loved them.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I want to move to Australia. Went back, started my first fermentation lab in San Francisco at the Manufactory, and then was about to hit 30 and was like, well, it's my time to go to Australia, and ended up here for 6 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And now you're with the Mulberry Group.
Yep.
And you're the head of fermentation.
Yeah.
Not many people have that title in the world.
No, so this actually came about because I didn't talk about it for a while, but I interviewed for the head of fermentation of Noma, and went through that entire process, 300 candidates down to 5, and then down to 2. So I was one of the last 2. I interviewed, I think, every week for like 6 weeks, tons of interviews. Took a personality test.
Did you meet Ben Liebman? Did you meet Ben?
Nah.
No? Okay.
No, but they did flew me over to do a week-long trial, basically, and then do a presentation, and then it culminated by Renee saying, we're actually not going to hire anyone. So when I came back, I was like super fiery. I had all of these opinions and ideas around how I wanted to implement a preservation approach as opposed to fermentation, which if you break it down, fermentation is this one trendy technique under this overarching umbrella of preservation, which uses like all these ancient techniques, salt, sugar, dehydration, Maillard reaction, all that stuff. Sat down with the Mulberry Group, was super spirited, gave them all my ideas, and then from there we basically established the role of head of fermentation, which is really beneficial for them because they have a farm, so it just closes the loop.
Yeah, so what, for you with that, right, what does sustainability look like in your kitchen on a daily basis right now, in this world?
Yeah, so there's 2 mindsets. One of them is you always have to create something that's delicious. You can do fermentation and preservation, and it could be weird and esoterical, and all my food is weird and esoterical. But at the base of it, it has to be really interesting. So we do have a condiment line and a beverage line that utilizes some waste, but they are cultivated for the average consumer. But it just gives the ability on the other side to then look at all of the waste that we're producing, all of the excess that the farm has in abundance in season, and apply these different types of techniques. So we're creating really delicious things like black garlic HP and barrel-aged Worcestershire sauce, but I'm also making cheese and then looking at the whey as a byproduct and finding ways to use that. So with that, on the menu, it gets turned into a caramel or gets turned into Norwegian brown cheese and used on a dessert that tastes like...
So that's how you reduce your waste, obviously, in the kitchen as well, because a lot of the time, people, when they're doing fermentation in a lot of spaces, they end up wasting a lot of stuff.
A lot, yeah.
So what's the key, if someone wants to play around, obviously trial and error is one thing, but, how do you build your menu with waste reduction in mind?
Yeah, so this is the challenging part, but it's all about creating a cognitive restructuring and a mental journey, basically a pathway that you know you're going to have methodical steps at each turn. So the first is identify waste. That's the first step. And the hardest part is teaching your younger staff to identify waste.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They don't even look at it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it seems so simple, but it's not. So to be able to be in a really high intense environment and go, I'm just going to put this in the bin and not think about it is really easy. So you have to first change your mindset to go, I'm producing a lot of excess. What do I do with this? And how do I train the staff to not stop throwing it in the bin? And then from there, you start to look at different techniques based on these ancient preservation techniques. You always have salt around. You always have sugar around. You always have vinegar around. There's always heat. So you apply these different techniques to food in season or to excess. And then you get really unique results and something that you can use as a condiment or use year round or both.
That's amazing. So how can like a small cafe or a small business, right? I would love to see a way that instead of their waste in the kitchen that happens from their general work, how could we then, re-engineer the menu in a way that they could start fermenting things from, have you ever, like, from normal kitchen waste, have you then ever fermented from that? Like, not when I mean kitchen waste, I mean like not your type of kitchen waste. I mean like chef waste. Like, is there anything that you've ever like repurposed? Like, how is there ever like a repurposing technique that you've ever gone through?
Give me an example.
Like, for example, if it's on the menu and then you then take it down the notch of then going into preservation.
Oh yeah. Yep. So,
So just imagine, I don't want to dial in on a specific thing because you and I are very alike. I get like that with numbers. I want you to take a 0.5 perspective.
Yeah.
Imagine when you're designing a menu, we have a product.
Yeah.
So let's just say like, an entree, main or dessert, whatever the case may be. But then you then are able to, if it's going to, it's like, okay, end of life, how do we then repurpose that?
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So, because I've done this for so long, I can see this like scientific interconnectivity of all of the food. And I understand that, if you remove just a little bit of moisture, add just a little bit of salt. Salt is antimicrobial. Moisture provides the food for microbes. Then you can very easily manipulate little things about the food to just extend the shelf life. Let's say it's 4 days because you don't have time to prep it. So an example would be you've ordered in fish and you haven't been able to utilize it. You haven't been able to prep it, or it just hasn't been cooked on the menu. How do you just extend the shelf life 2 days? You sprinkle it with salt. Or how do you extend the shelf life to be able to use it next week? Then you pack it in a 50% sugar, 50% salt cure. So when the proteins are a little bit easier in that sense, but a better example is when you have all those wilted vegetables. Like
that's I wanted to say that, but
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't want to get cancelled.
Because you order things, they sit around for ages. Your younger chefs don't have.
And
the
then
mental,
even like sometimes the first couple leaves are like they might have been tarnished by just sitting in the cool room the wrong way.
Yep.
What do you do?
So you can do a lot of different things with veg. One of them, the easiest one, and I can't take credit for this, is the silo technique, and I love it. The restaurant in London that is zero waste. They save all that trim, and we have a giant bucket in the cool room where we put all the veg inside. And at the end of the week, I roast it and basically turn it into a stock. So
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, by roasting it goes through a Maillard reaction. It introduces sugars and makes them more available so that when you reduce it down, you're getting something that's similar to a vegan jus. And then it's thickened with brown rice, which has starch. And then I use it to either lengthen my chicken stock or to use it on my vegan dishes.
That's phenomenal.
But you can also take those wilted leaves and use it as a weight for your ferments. So you create a natural barrier in which you are pushing down all those pickles like the pickled red onions that you've made, or the lacto-fermented carrots that you've started. So absolutely, all of those things, it does take a little bit of experience and a lot of failure to get there.
That's it. Well, then this rounds up to my last question for you. What advice would you give to a young chef or novice operator who wants to cook more sustainably but doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So it definitely starts with research. And this is the mindset in the younger chefs now are so different than when I started out 18 years ago, because everybody was all in the books. Like now it's a little bit more instant gratification and internet. But if you pick a topic and your attention span is limited for whatever reason, then you can still do your own research into the interests that you have and that are really poignant for the techniques that you want to apply. But
is there a particular book one book that could just get them started?
Yeah, so I always recommend the Sandor Katz's Art of Fermentation. But even more than that, I read, and it's a little bit, it's pretty nerdy, but I read like scholarly published articles.
Yep.
And even if you read blips of it, whatever material you read, you're going to take a little bit of information from everything.
It's amazing.
And start to collect it. And then the second step to that, once you educate yourself a little bit, is just to do things. So it's one thing to want to start fermenting in the kitchen, but if you don't understand, if you don't have the intellectual capacity to understand why it's working, why it's not working, then you're never going to be able to build on those results. And to be able to build on those results, it just goes back to educating yourself about the process. So the way I usually operate, and it works really well for younger chefs, is go in blind, have an idea, do it, do your research, understand the background of where it comes from and the history, because that will also give you insight. Do it again, and then try to understand that technique well enough where you can make a unique product out of it. So example would be something like yuzu kosho. You take yuzu skin, you take chilies, you ferment it together, but then you have a successful product, then make kiwi kosho.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for your time on the podcast. Thanks for coming into our bus instead of van. We loved having you here, and I've literally now got fermentation just running through my brains. I'm like now going to go use some wilted vegetables at home. Thank you again. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was great.